okay, little baby, don't cry.
Luke was being bullied at school, unaware that his older brother David, a former Special Forces soldier, was secretly watching over him. After witnessing an attack, David had Luke identify the culprits and set out to make sure they'd never do it again. David quietly led Luke to tail the bullies to a bar. Once there, he ordered a flaming, chili, spiced cocktail, strong drinks for their girlfriends, and a cosmopolitan for each of the thugs, intentionally provoking them. Offended, one of the bullies snapped, marched over, rejected the drink, and hurled it straight into David's face. David smiled and struck back with a blazing hot cocktail, showing no mercy to those who had hurt his fallen comrade's little brother. Each bully took a brutal hit. After leaving money for the damage, David walked out with Luke. What no one knew was that he wasn't Luke's real brother, just his late brother's closest teammate, stepping in after his friend was killed in combat 2 weeks earlier. After the death of their eldest son Caleb in the war, the Peterson family Spencer, his wife Laura, and their children, Luke and Anna, struggled to cope with the loss. One morning, with Spencer and Luke already gone, Laura sat alone in silent grief when a calm, courteous man appeared at the door. She was taken aback as he addressed her by name and revealed he had trained and served with Caleb and that they had become close friends.
My name was David. We trained together and served together and we came to be good friends.
The man introduced himself as David Collins, Army Sergeant and Caleb's closest friend in service. Though wary, Laura let him in and offered a glass of water. David explained he'd spent months recovering in a military hospital after being wounded and had come to visit soon after his discharge. David told her he was with Caleb when he died, and that Caleb's final wish was for him to share his love with the family. Overwhelmed, Laura excused herself and broke down in tears. When she returned, David showed her a photo from Caleb's deployment, erasing any remaining doubt. Noticing her distress, he gently offered to leave, saying he should have called and would return another time. However, Laura insisted David stay, assuring him that Anna would want to meet him. His respectful and sincere demeanor quickly earned Laura's trust, though Anna remained cautious. When David mentioned staying at a nearby motel, Laura offered him Caleb's old room instead. After Anna left for work, she led David upstairs to the guest room she had prepared. Laura assured David she didn't mind him staying in Caleb's room, then left him to settle in. Alone, David stood in silence, his expression unreadable. Meanwhile, Luke remained a target at school, but refused to fight back. When Laura picked him up, he masked his pain with indifference, pretending nothing was wrong. David soon adapted to life with the Petersons. While Luke slowly warmed up to him, Spencer grew uneasy, arguing with Laura about letting a stranger stay, worried David might have PTSD or hidden psychological issues. Laura began to suspect that David's friendly demeanor might mask the instability common in veterans with PTSD. Meanwhile, David noticed bruises on Luke's face, clear signs of bullying, but Luke dismissed them, saying he was hit by a soccer ball in gym class. After a tense exchange with David, Spencer stormed off, leaving Laura to remind Luke about his homework. As David helped him study, he praised Luke's intelligence, boosting the boy's confidence. Anna returned from work but kept her distance, while Spencer, surprisingly, began to warm up to their guest. Late that night, Spencer and David bonded over beers and a football game. In a moment of vulnerability, Spencer opened up about the stress he'd been under both financially and at work. He vented his frustration over being passed up for a promotion after 4 years, losing out to a younger, newly hired colleague who got the regional manager role simply because of a degree. Laura's financial concerns only added to the strain, especially when David mentioned leaving for a construction job in Florida. To her surprise, Spencer objected, urging David to stay a few more days. He had clearly begun to warm up to him. As Spencer poured another beer, a flicker of darkness crossed David's face. Soon after, David took on a more supportive role, picking Luke up for Laura, helping him confront bullies, and quickly gaining the boy's trust. Meanwhile, his relationship with Anna grew increasingly tense and complicated. That evening, Laura insisted Anna take David to a Halloween party. While getting ready, Anna, thinking Luke was in the bathroom, accidentally walked in on a half-dressed David. Flustered by the sight, she struggled to hide her reaction. Despite her reluctance, she still brought him to the party hosted by her friend Kristen. Anna confided in David about dating Zeke, and he promised to keep it secret. At the party, he quickly charmed her friends, while Anna slipped away with Zeke. When Kristen's ex Drew got aggressive, David stepped in and took him down without hesitation. Attracted to David, Kristen spent the night with him, unaware of his darker side. Earlier at the party, he discreetly asked Craig about buying weapons, citing his military past and interest in guns. Later, he saw Anna arguing with Zeke. Frustrated, she left early and David offered her a ride home. On the way, she vented about Zeke's lack of ambition. Anna was frustrated that, while she worked hard and saved for college, Zeke still had no job or direction. David's subtle compliments left her touched, and when he showed interest in a song on the radio, she promised to make him a mix CD. Back home, she became engrossed in picking songs, unaware that David sat alone in his room, his expression dark and unsettling. Later that day, Anna overheard David on a tense call using Luke's phone, seemingly asking a surgeon to alter his face, claiming he was being hunted. Growing suspicious, she contacted the military base to verify his identity, providing his full name and unit. The call triggered an alert at KPG, a private military contractor. Records showed David was a presumed dead test subject. Major Richard Carver, head of the project, quickly assembled a special ops team to track him down, prepared to deploy armed forces if needed, especially after learning David was living with the Petersons. David met with Craig and his crew to buy guns. After confirming he had cash, they eagerly showed him their stash, highlighting a Beretta. When he said he'd take everything, they were visibly thrilled. Craig and his crew's excitement quickly turned fatal. David killed them after they drew their guns, then took all the weapons and grenades. Meanwhile, Anna got a call from the military base about David and tried to alert Laura, but Spencer returned with shocking news. His boss and the boss's girlfriend had died in what appeared to be a double suicide from a drug overdose. The sudden deaths led to Spencer's promotion and raise. Meanwhile, Anna was stunned when Zeke called to say Craig had been murdered. Seeking comfort, she met Kristen at the diner. Back home, David and Luke carved pumpkins on the porch. When the kitchen knife proved dull, David calmly pulled out his Swiss Army knife and carved with swift precision. At the diner, Anna told Kristen the military reported David Collins died in a hospital fire in Arizona just a week ago, deepening her suspicions. Kristen suggested having Luke check the numbers David had called. Meanwhile, back home, David and Luke returned from carving pumpkins. David disturbingly urged Luke to carry a knife to school and, if bullied, to burn down his tormentor's house, even with people inside. David handed Luke a Swiss Army knife. Moments later, Anna returned home, acting casual as she passed by. Unnoticed, she stole David's phone and slipped into her room. With music blaring to mask the noise, she quickly photographed the call history. When the phone suddenly rang, she panicked, tossed it back into David's room, and hurried to hers. David appeared in the hallway, suspiciously following the ringtone back to his room. He retrieved his phone, then paused outside Anna's door, listening through the loud music. She only relaxed once he walked away. Soon after, Zeke called he'd been arrested for Craig's murder. The weapon was found in his car, though he swore he was innocent. As more evidence turned up in Zeke's car, Anna felt everything had unraveled since David arrived. She confided in her family. Laura was concerned, but Spencer stayed cold, suggesting Zeke might be guilty, which justified his distrust. As tensions rose, Anna revealed she had contacted the military base and they confirmed David was officially dead. David calmly claimed he was part of a special unit and that the military had faked his death to protect his identity, even showing a dog tag as proof. Convinced, Spencer grew angry at Anna's doubts and demanded she apologize. Anna shouted at her father and stormed into her room. As David reassured Spencer, Anna sat alone, deep in thought until David suddenly appeared. Calm and polite, He apologized for Craig's death and said he'd be away for a few days, subtly warning her to stop interfering. David stared at Anna until she reluctantly agreed.
Okay.
On his way out, he spotted the mixed CD she'd made and, acting as if nothing had happened, thanked her with a cheerful tone. Meanwhile, Richard headed to the airport, assembling a special ops team to capture David. At the same time, Anna discovered that David had called a Miami plastic surgeon, Peter Boddington, whose license had been revoked 2 years ago. Anna asked Luke to help investigate David, and though hesitant, he agreed. Later, after being bullied at school, Luke finally fought back, landing a punch that got both boys sent to the principal's office. David and Laura arrived for a meeting, and while the school enforced its zero-tolerance policy, David seemed pleased that Luke had taken his advice. The principal planned to expel Luke, despite it being self-defense. But David, using his legal knowledge and sharp instincts, pressured the principal into lowering the punishment to a 1-month suspension. Grateful, Luke confided in him about Anna's suspicions, how she believed David had killed Craig and was planning to go to the police to clear Zeke's name. At first, David seemed unfazed, but when Luke revealed he knew about the impersonation uncovered through the plastic surgeon, David's expression changed. Still, Luke assured him he wouldn't tell anyone and believed Anna lacked solid proof. Later, David found out Anna had confided everything to Kristen as well. While helping Laura with the laundry, David received a heartfelt thank you for his support. He responded with a hint of discomfort before stepping away to fetch more clothes. Just then, Richard and his tactical team burst into the house, ready to expose the truth, only for David to reappear, casually carrying an armful of laundry. A violent gunfight broke out between the two sides. Wounded in the leg, David tried to flee but ran into Laura in the kitchen. When she asked who he really was, he admitted he and Caleb were part of a secret program. Hiding a knife, he hesitated until Laura suddenly exposed his location. Without warning, he stabbed her in the chest. David killed the entire special ops team with a kitchen knife, sparing only Richard, who escaped by car accidentally hitting Spencer. Wounded, David began covering his tracks.
I'm really sorry about this.
With a flat tire, Richard borrowed a civilian's car and rushed to pick up Anna at the diner. Moments later, David arrived, couldn't find her, and enraged, shot Kristen and blew up the diner with a grenade. After a phone call, Richard set out to find Luke. He revealed David had been part of a secret military program to create perfect soldiers through behavioral conditioning. David escaped by burning down the facility, killing everyone, and faking his death with a charred body. At the school recenter, Luke was stuck setting up for the dance and missed Anna's call after his phone was confiscated. On the way there, Anna and Richard passed emergency vehicles. Richard revealed the diner had exploded soon after they left. Anna was devastated to learn her parents were dead. Richard explained David's psychological conditioning and how the experimental program had shielded him. After the experiment failed, David became a programmed killer, eliminating anyone who threatened his cover. Though he sometimes seemed to resist, he couldn't control himself. As the Halloween dance began, Anna and Richard arrived at the school. David cut the power, played Anna's mixtape over the speakers, and began his killing spree, murdering Luke's teacher and Richard with a box cutter under the flickering lights. Despite it all, Luke still didn't believe David was dangerous and insisted on speaking with him. Luke still believed David was harmless until Anna told him David had killed their parents. After getting Luke to safety, Anna confronted David, now fully unmasked. As he hunted for Luke, a strange sound and a trail of blood led him to Richard's gun, only for Anna to appear behind him. Anna shot David thinking she'd avenged their parents. But when she let her guard down, he stabbed her in the leg. As her gun jammed, he began to strangle her until Luke intervened, stabbing David with the same knife David had once given him. As he collapsed, David told Luke he'd done the right thing. Later, Anna and Luke sat in the ambulance, bloodied and in shock.